The Lies About Tithing, Part 4. Many institutional church leaders argue that while the New Testament does not explicitly instruct Christians to tithe, the Bible teaches a spiritual principle of tithing. They often point to Abraham giving tithes to Melchizedek in Genesis chapter 14, verse 18 to verse 24, and Jacob, Abraham's grandson, promising to give tenths of everything God blessed them with in Genesis chapter 28, verse 20 to verse 22. These leaders assert that because tithing occurred before the law of Moses, it must be a universal spiritual principle. To reinforce this idea, they cite Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1 to verse 10, where the author notes that the Levites, under the law, figuratively paid tithes through Abraham when he gave a tenth to Melchizedek. Let us examine this so-called spiritual principle more closely by exploring Hebrews chapter 7. In both Abraham's act of giving tithes to Melchizedek, the priest of Salem, and the Levites giving tithes to the priests of Israel, the descendants of Aaron, one key pattern emerges. Priests receive tithes but do not give tithes. It is important to note that the Levites were not priests themselves. Rather, they were members of a tribe tasked with assisting the priest in various capacities, such as guarding the temple, performing maintenance, and fulfilling other necessary duties. Furthermore, the tithes they received from Israel on the third year, they were obligated to give a 10% from that to the priests. So, what is the significance of priests receiving tithes but not giving tithes? If tithing is indeed a spiritual principle, then this concept must be applied in its fullest context. In 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 5, Peter writes, "You also, as living stones, are being built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Christ Jesus." According to the Bible, all Christians are declared part of this holy priesthood. If we accept the idea of tithing as a spiritual principle, it would logically mean that Christians, as holy priests, should receive tithes rather than give tithes. Following this principle to its logical conclusion, the world would be giving tithes to Christians, not Christians giving tithes to the church organization. Instead of adhering to such flawed principles, we should focus on the biblical model of cheerful, voluntary giving as outlined in the New Testament in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. Like and subscribe for more 2-minute biblical rebuttals.